your building stock.
Welcome back to the Millennial Classics. And on this podcast, we bring to you the most memorable movies, music, and culture-changing events from our generation. Mumburi Makaya, how you doing?
How we doing? Doing
Pretty
good?
good. Pretty good. Today's an exciting day. Please tell the folks at home, what are we doing and why is it a Millennial Classic?
Okay, so this is going to be the most self-explanatory Millennial Classic we've ever done because this franchise is pretty much the millennial franchise. If you really think about it, well, post-millennial maybe, but it's like the biggest franchise in the world right now. Yes. And we're doing Iron Man, which kicked everything off.
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
Boom! Shakalaka turner! You're out on the floor! Ejectocito, cuz! It worked! I love this part! Please! Come on!
Goodbye, Benny.
Now it's like 2 Marvel movies a year, every year for the past 10 years, pretty much.
Are we going to get 2 in this COVID-filled year? Are we going to get 2?
Nah. Will Smith, Bad Boys 4. That was Avengers enough.
Oh, Jesus Lord.
So, I mean, this movie is a huge hit. Huge critical hit, too. And, I mean, it's so perfect that we just had to do it. And a great origin story. I didn't know who the fuck Iron Man was until we watched it.
Exactly. That's a great explanation. Usually I have to add to some juice. I have to re-explain. I have to ask questions to Mumburi, asking him why he isn't showing enough love. But I can't because he said it all. I just have to add because I don't even want to pretend that this is going to be an exciting thing I'm going to reveal later on. For me, this is special. Why is it Millennial Classic for me? Is because Iron Man is my favorite superhero. At least he's my favorite Marvel superhero. And I don't think it's... I think it was close for a hot second there when it was the Black Panther hype, but he hasn't done enough. He hasn't done enough. Put in your years. Put in the years. We will talk about the trilogies in the in a little bit. Jump with me into this time machine, and I'll tell you what was going on back in 2008. This movie dropped in May 2nd, 2008. Mumburi, the number 1 song that year was "Lollipop" from Lil Wayne.
That makes sense.
Year.
Was 2008? Was that Carter 4?
I think so. Is Lollipop in Carter 4? Or because Lollipop is not. I don't know. I don't know albums like that. All I know is it was Lollipop and it did fantastic. And this was when Lil Wayne was on top of the world, right? This is the beginning of our high school careers. And it was the biggest in the world, biggest hit for him. Mariah Carey announced that she secretly married Nick Cannon. Imagine that. Mr. Turban himself.
I'd probably secretly marry him too, bro. I wouldn't announce that shit to the world either, bro.
He was the star of American Got Talent, bro. He had it back then.
What a downturn. From 2010, Nick Cannon was marrying Mariah Carey, and now he's gone off the rails.
Oh, a little bit. He talk about conspiracy theories. And I had to add this just for a little bit of culture, just for those people who want to make sure. The final episode of Flavor of Love aired that month. Did you watch Flavor of Love?
Never watched it.
You've never seen Flavor of Love?
Never.
Are you? Yes. No. It was a rough show to watch, but anyways, Mumburi, top 5 movies that year. Can you guess?
Dark Knight, obviously.
Oh yeah! Welcome to the team. Welcome
was there
back,
Harry Potter? Was there Harry Potter?
No, Harry Potter was not in the top 5.
Was there Penguins of Madagascar?
Stop it, please! Don't just.
I watched every single one of those. I know. In that range, there was like four of those movies.
Congratulations! All 4 of them never made the top 5, though. Wait, maybe this year wasn't too big then. Let me give you a hint. There's a Pixar movie.
Fuck, I can't. There's so many Pixar movies, but
you go ahead.
Transformers.
Nope. You're done. It's a bad week for
I got the number 1. I got the number 1.
You did get the number 1, but getting the number 1 is like knowing the sky is blue. Okay, you don't get credit for the number 1. All right, number 2.
James Bond. There was a James Bond movie.
Well, maybe, but it's not in the top 5. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus is right, brother. Jesus is right. Maybe it was a bad year for you. Number 2 was Wall-E. That was so Dark Knight's number 1. Number 2 was Wall-E. Slumdog Millionaire was number 3.
There's no way Slumdog Millionaire was the number 3 in what is this in India?
No.
What's this list? What country are we in?
This is IMDb. I always get it from IMDb.
Box
Top 10
office.
It's top 10 movies that year. IMDb.
So is that box office or is that
Bro,
IMDb
bro,
score?
the same thing I've been using every. Stop with the details. All right, stop it, Mulberry. Okay.
I'm trying to figure out where Slumdog is, but Slumdog is a mad good movie.
Yes, it is a mad good movie. So I don't understand the hatred here.
There's some parts you can skip.
Can I just say, look, listen, before, I know you got all of these wrong, but you can't try to scheme your way in.
I'm scheming my way into at least give me one. All right, what's the next one?
So it was Wall-E, Slumdog Millionaire, Iron Man was 4th, and Gran Torino. I think that's a hard
This
one.
is bullshit. This list is horse shit. Gran Torino?
That's what I have here.
That's old man
In a
Clint
truck.
Eastwood, right?
That's old man Clint
Telling
Eastwood.
Asians to get off his lawn?
Anti-Asians, yes.
This is... I don't know what this list is, but it's a weird list.
Of course.
This is probably like critically acclaimed. This is definitely a box office.
Probably. Anyways, but that's the list I have so far. That was the top 5, all right? I'm not the one that comes up with that list. But that was what was going on in 2008. That was the top of the movies. You got a little bit of the music with... we always do these back in the days, and most of the time, Lil Wayne is in that conversation. He was, like, I think...
Megastar. We might have to do the Carter. We're going to have to do the
Megastar.
Carter 3 at least. But, like, to be honest, I like the Carter 4 a little bit better. But...
Sooner rather than later, we need to jump on that because, yes, I mean, it is something else.
Shit, I Am Not a Human Being, bro. I don't give a shit. All his albums and mixtapes, too. Whatever.
Are fire.
Are
fire.
Yeah.
So, Mulberry, let's get back into this movie. Tell us a little bit about this movie, how it was made, how much money did it make.
All right, director Jon Favreau from Swingers. He's huge now. He did Lion King, Jungle Book. Producer Kevin Feige, he does all the Marvel ones. The budget was $140, and it made $585 worldwide.
Give me that money.
So that's insane for back then. Nowadays he's all hit-a-billy, but $585 was huge. $318 domestic, 94% Rotten Tomatoes, which is insane for at least for a superhero movie. It's insane.
Say that one more. Oh, for the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, 94%. 79 Metacritic, which means it's objectively a really good movie. You know the stars: Robert Downey Jr., Terrence Howard, Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow. This movie is a complete package. You don't get these movies a lot. You don't need to know anything beforehand. You don't need to do research. You get in, you get out. There's no like bigger picture thing. You can enjoy this movie by itself.
Mulberry, where were you when you watched it the first time?
I definitely saw this in theaters. This is the summer. This summer I went to Kenya, but this came out in April, I believe, or early May, and I definitely saw this in theaters. So I saw it here before I left, and I was excited to see it too. Because I never like read the comics, but I was like kind of aware of Iron Man. Even then people were talking about how like there was gonna be like eventually Avengers movie, and then like you were gonna see everyone. You didn't know it, and then like obviously people heard about maybe Samuel Jackson is gonna be at the end of the movie and that kind of stuff. So you like get excited, and then when you see this movie opening weekend or close to it, most people there are fans. So like you get the sense of like what you're missing and what you should when like you can like the theater level.
Yes,
the
I know what you mean exactly.
I know we're in Corona post-COVID, so that's not a thing.
No, I hear you, because with the oohs and the ahs and the oh my goodness, and then with the snickering, yes. So you know when there's one of those Easter eggs that are in there that you can't pick up on. Mm-hmm. You know when you know these things, right? But also, if you don't know these things, the movie is still fantastic. I do know for a fact that I watched this movie in theaters, but I also don't remember the exact scenario. Very close to opening weekend, definitely in theaters. It might have been with you, to be honest, Mulberry. It could have been, for all I know.
No,
but,
we definitely didn't hang out in 8th grade, bro.
Oh yeah, I don't think we did. But I do remember this being a really big deal. What was the first thing you thought about when we decided Iron Man is going to be the movie we're doing? What came to mind first?
What came to mind first is,
Yes.
I mean, eventually I knew we were gonna have to do our Marvel movie because it's been such a big part of pop culture for the
Of
past
our
15
lives.
years
Yeah.
in our lives, really. And then when you think about all the Marvel movies, there's really, if you're being objective, at which ones are good movies, start to finish.
Please say something
This-
reasonable here.
This movie has to be in the top 5, and I argue probably top 3. And I know people, yeah, I mean, people get soft and they like it. They need Daddy Thanos in their lives and shit like that. But I think if you're being objective, you can't watch Endgame without seeing 15 other movies.
I mean, you can.
Can
Can you? Yeah, that's a good.
What are you talking about? You're gonna be like, who
No,
is that?
you're right.
Who's
you're
that?
right. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I mean,
Ant-Man's
it's
just showing up and he has a time machine in his van. What are you talking about? We're like all these things to pile up on each other, and that makes them better in a way, right? Because if you've seen it, it makes the movie way better. But then, as a standalone movie, I think this is one of the best.
and it's hard to compare after knowing in hindsight. What would you have thought of this movie if you didn't know it connected, or what would you have thought of this movie as a? It's easy, right, to say that like Black Panther standalone, fantastic, knocked it out of the park, right? One or two of the Captain America, sure, but you're right. I think as a standalone movie, top 3. I have to agree with that, especially with the full Marvel. Do we want to jump into the scenes? Best scenes?
Yeah, let's just get right into the scenes. I'll do my couple. I'm sure you're gonna have more because I was actually pretty light on the scenes. The
You were
thing
light
with
on the
this
scenes.
movie,
Yeah.
for me, is this doesn't happen very often. It's movies like The Rundown, bless them, but the great scenes stick out because it's an uneven movie. And even The Mummy has the same issues. There's literally moments where you're just you get it on your phone.
Exactly. You have
This
to, just to
movie
get through it.
is so good start to finish, and it's so even, right? It's not like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like LeBron, right? He's always going to give you 28, 7 and 7. It's not like Dame Lillard where you're going to get like 60
and then 15.
a 20 and then
Yeah.
a 60. So I have, for my scenes, I got the intro.
I feel like you're driving me to a court martial. This is crazy. What did I do? I feel like you're gonna pull over and snuff me. What, you're not allowed to talk? Hey, Forrest.
We can talk, sir.
Oh, I see, so it's personal?
No, you intimidate them.
Good God, you're a woman. I couldn't have called that.
Right? The Back in Black,
AC/DC.
AC/DC playing. You see
Iconic intro.
I mean, they do the whole slideshow of Tony Stark, but you don't need that because just the way the soldiers in the Humvee are looking at him and like afraid to talk to him, and they talk about the like sports suit monthly models or whatever.
Yes.
You like get the sense of who this guy is off the jump,
I love that.
and
scene.
then I mean, just solid start.
And the thing is about that scene, you like, oh my goodness, he's so good at that scene. But right with that scene is with the joking. Even all of that clicks and hits and hits and hits. Everything he says hits. They start joking about the goat and who people are sleeping with. He doesn't know if it's a man or a woman, and then he corrects himself in the most bombastic. Great scene. Great
Yeah,
opening scene.
sets the tone.
And the AC/DC, I mean, some of the songs I think are a little much now, but like a few songs when he's doing the suit up and in the intro, fantastic.
And then I have the cave escape.
My turn.
I mean, that's like the origin. That's like, sword from the stone type shit where it's
Right.
just, that's where
The
Iron
hero
Man's
was
made.
born. Yes.
Hero was born.
Yeah. Fire coming out of his
there's
arms for the first
A
time.
lot of stereotypical bad guy stuff. Just, how many guys do you have to see killed before you stop running at an iron guy?
They have bombs and grenades, so you have to give them some credit. They were running out of the cave.
I've never seen so many missiles just sit by and watch us run. Just shoot a missile at the guy. They got
But they need the
so
Jericho.
much equipment, and they're literally shooting pistols at this guy.
Yeah.
They need the Jericho.
They need
This
the Jericho.
is the definition of like the kid that needs the nicest shit just to do simple shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, terrorists don't need Jerichos. Give them an AK-47 and one of those like old Somali type RPG shits. Dude, we seen Black Hawk
They
Down.
were doing some automatic guns at the machine. I know they don't need it,
yeah.
but they were working towards it. There's the whole plan, bro.
You don't
Okay,
need the
all
toys.
right.
You don't need the toys.
If you say.
In that scene, the terrorists run a very diverse workforce. Like when
Well, with the Israeli
he said he was like 9 different languages.
Yeah, but that's a
something
very diverse man.
That's great. No. He said that's not enough languages for the camp. Remember? Because there are people from everywhere.
Look at you taking
This is.
notes.
The
Look
HR
at
person
you.
at this terrorist camp, honestly, might be MVP because 9 different languages. They're working together. It's a cohesive group. They managed to get Tony Stark. This is.
This is good.
This is a HR.
That's a 2020 terrorist group. If there ever were one.
Not enough women, I have to say.
I didn't see a single one. Are you literally counting? Oh, you just said the cave escape. Nothing else in the cave. The building with the Iron Man and the shadow that didn't.
That is an.
The building of the,
that exact scene. With
like those 30 seconds.
He literally. I don't know how he does it. He's like doing it straight and he's like moving a thing. And it looks good. Like,
Yeah,
I want to swap in and
exactly.
hop in. If he's like, yo, Burry, hop in. Let me get that. Doesn't look like he's doing anything. But,
No, not much.
He looks like he's just banging shit.
But you didn't think anything else in the cave scene was...
A lot of talk.
You did you feel that brotherhood between fucking Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.
I did
and
feel like, yo, he should get some credit. Because he does...
Jensen? He saves his life.
Kind of does build the version 1.
Version 1 of the reactor thing, the battery charger of his heart, right?
Yeah, you remember like when we were kids, there were like remote control cars,
Yes.
and the first ones had big
The
ass
what?
batteries.
Yes.
And it'd only go for like a couple minutes, and then like 5 years, 6 years later, they're rechargeable.
Zooming.
You just fucking zoom them around. Yinsen had that big ass battery, number one, and he doesn't get any credit.
0 credit. Yeah, but he died. So like, yes, okay, all right.
Because he's an idiot too.
Yeah,
He runs in there.
shooting his gun at the wall.
Wall.
Okay, he knew that Tony Stark was gonna come out there and kill him. So
Yeah.
kill them. So you not helping him out and killing a few isn't helping anything. In fact, that's making your situation worse.
So you keep asking me about the cave, so I'm guessing you have more cave scenes.
No, I was just because I don't. It's not. Don't want to spoil it, but it's not even my MVP. It's not my favorite scene.
Yeah.
I just thought because it's the iconic scene. That's why.
All right, so this next scene is my MVP. It's my favorite scene in the movie. It's the Gomera attack scene, and which goes into the dogfight.
Oh shit! You really skipped a lot, motherfucker.
Yeah,
You just said, you know what? Who cares about everything in between the cave and him realizing his Iron Man? Let's just jump into the action. All right. Explain
I like the idea of
first.
him. He goes back to where he left, and he just kicks some ass. You see the people that attacked him. It's the only time you see the robot noises when the tank hits him, and then he
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
You know,
What? The robot noises? Oh, like the beep boops.
when the tank knocks him down, and then he shoots like a tiny thing and the tank explodes, and then the music plays, and he turns around in slow mo. That part was in the trailer. Like I distinctly remember that part. But then you hear like the actual like. It's the only time you hear it. I remember. That's like in Avengers, he's not like walking around.
And just the zoom.
Right.
There's a couple of scenes in Endgame and in Infinity War where you hear his metal fucking like robot bits grab. But I have to say this. That turnaround before the shot is hit, Steph Curry style, is it's Tony Stark in a package. It is Tony Stark in a clip. I know what's about to happen. I'm the smartest person in the room. Fuck you. I'm gonna embarrass you in front of everybody. It's so boss. It's so gangsta. I do love that scene. Are you saying that it's just that scene?
No. It's the whole. It's a whole thing. Because this is the thing with this movie. He only uses this suit in fights twice.
I have that in my notes. Twice. I have that in my notes.
The other time he uses it is my worst scene in the movie. So
wow. Jesus,
so
mercy.
for this is the only time where you get to see like, all right, this guy's in. This is sick. He's Iron Man. He's a superhero. The cool thing is like he goes in, takes care of business, and not a lot of. It's like him. What other superhero could you see do that? It's like him and Captain America, right?
Wait, no. Captain America can't do that.
I'm saying like go into Afghanistan and take out some terrorists.
I can see a lot of superheroes.
Spider-Man. You can't send Spider-Man. You can't send Spider-Man.
Can't do it. Spider-Man can't do it. So look, I hear what you're saying, but I think a lot of superheroes. You're outside your mind, okay? Okay, a lot of superheroes can do that.
Who can pull it off, bro?
Okay, so just tell me when the scene ends, Mumbari. Okay, that's what I'm asking. It ends
at the dogfight with Terrence Howard, who I even wrote this down. This movie needs way more Terrence Howard. But
the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs a lot more Terrence Howard. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to casts.
When they're doing like the roadie, it's me. It's like, all right, dude, you can't send civilian. No. It's actually me. And then the plane turns, and then you see him in the bottom of the plane. Oh,
it's
boom.
Amazing.
It's a shoot. It's me.
Brody, you got anything for me?
On your belly. It looks like a man. Shake him off. Roll.
I just like that's the only time you actually get to see it in action, because the suit flies up and it flies back down, and the whole suit building montage is nice, and I would have put it there, but they split it up a lot because he builds the feet, flies up, goes to the party, comes back, paints that shit, does all this. You know, if there was like one big montage, I probably would have put it there because it probably would have been sick. But in terms of actually seeing Iron Man,
yes,
that's my favorite scene.
Okay. Do you have any other best scenes moving forward after this, or is your best
just
scene?
the stinger at the end with Nick Fury for how iconic and how.
Okay, let's talk about this since it's there, and then I'll go back and I'll talk about my fave. The end of that thing with Nick Fury. It took me. I know this is. It took me a really long time to want to stay into a movie past the credits and see this. I remember not knowing about this end credit scene until like months after I watched the movie, because you have to be the greatest movie I ever seen for me to watch the fucking credits. I'm not.
And it's like they literally reconditioned the population of people to sit through the credits.
Exactly, that's my point. Exactly, it took me a few Marvel movies and some dedication and some like love and care into the franchise for me to start waiting for the end credit scenes. But yes, I love that end credit scene. It's so simple. It gets right to the point. You see Samuel L. If you part of the Marvel universe, your heart is racing. You see the eye patch and you're like, yo, let's make things happen.
And this motherfucker, and keep in mind, this is 2008. Like Avengers doesn't drop till 12, and this motherfucker just pops in at the end of movies for 4 years and just being like, hey. You know what's happening soon, though, right? You know what's cooking soon.
So Samuel Alice cooking,
Yeah.
baby, cooking. But so this is insane to me that you missed both of my favorite scenes. Both of my favorite scenes.
Between the cave escape and the Gilmere attack's probably 45 minutes of movie.
So these two scenes are how I describe Tony Stark in my mind and eye and head and soul. So it was really hard for me to separate which one I liked more.
Is one of them the Vanity Fair pickup out in the beginning?
What do you mean?
When he picks up the Vanity Fair
No.
reporter?
I mean, that's the fun part. I want to talk about that scene, and I think that's fun because there's a YouTube thing about that scene. Like, and the Marvel fans love it. Like, the practice version of that conversation when they were just doing the run-throughs is better than that scene. My two favorite scenes in the movie are the Jericho explanation when he with the fire, with the wind in the back.
For your consideration, the Jericho.
Well, that's one of my favorite scenes, and that's Tony Stark at his most arrogant.
That's my favorite quote of the movie.
Exactly, right? Whoa, I am Iron Man. Is that?
I mean, that's the most
iconic.
iconic.
What are you talking about?
That's the most
Murray?
iconic. But I literally have this quote saved up on my phone.
Yeah.
On my computer. I'm looking at it now. It's like in a meme form, and it's a classic. He's like this.
Exactly.
Jesus. And he's just so insane.
It's fine. I'm telling you, that scene is pre.
But to be fair, it's like 30 seconds.
It is 30 seconds. It's Tony Stark pre Iron Man at his most Tony Stark, right? And then my favorite scene of this movie, because it's like when he becomes a superhero is right when he decides that he's gonna go save those people. That's when I think him as a character. But when you find out that the Iron Man is a fucking superhero, is when he flies for the first time.
Ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Not just lifts off the ground. I'm talking about red and gold and flying. You see it.
That off.
He says, "Whoa!" He goes sees the kid. He freezes up in Bury. This is how you introduce a superhero. I thought, I'm sorry. Yes.
I probably was very impressed with that in 2008. Now, you know those like cheap Samsung VR things. That's what it looks like now.
We have an Oculus in our house.
When you get
one's touched it.
When you get that shit, and it's just like a 30-second video, and you just look around and then you look up and down. That's what it felt like to me. But I had it. But honestly, I think you're skipping
the soundtrack, bro.
The Jericho scene. I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
We should add that. The flight is great, and
it's like your first time.
Do the Jericho line reading. I want to see who does it better.
Wait, I don't have it up, bro. What do you mean?
God.
It's in my. Oh well, I could get it because it's in my quote section.
All right,
There's a couple
let me go
of
first.
them.
Let me go first. All right, ready?
Do you think, bro?
They say the best weapon is the one you never have to fire. I respectfully disagree. I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far. All right, you go.
I can't. That's perfect, Burry.
Dude.
They say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I respectfully disagree. I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far. Find an excuse to let one of these off the chain, and I personally guarantee you the bad guys won't even want to come out of their caves.
And in fact, that was in the quote I thought you were going to say. To be honest, in my head, my quote of the Jericho scene was...
It was bring me...
No. Do you want to be respected or feared? Why can't you be both? And that's when the thing... Right? Mm-hmm. So, that's
I bring
actually,
you the Jericho.
I don't know. Okay. Exactly.
That's right after this.
Yes. But either way, I do love that scene. And then the cherry on top of the scene... The fucking convertible suitcase into the wine, the mojito glasses. Tony Stark is a motherfucking baller. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm freaking out now, but I watched this movie when I was 2008. That's us 13, 14 years old, right? Seeing a man have a convertible suitcase after he just blew an entire fucking canyon into the desert, right? He said, I'll have these people so scared they'll stay in their caves. I know that's insensitive, but fucking stay in your cave.
Nah, but once you see the Jericho, you stay in that cave, bro.
Right? So yes, it would probably, those are my two favorite. Pre-Iron Man Tony Stark and post-Iron Man, well, Iron Man Tony Stark. Is when he suits up and flies, and it's just like I'm a superhero for the first time ever. Worst
so
scenes.
what's your? I mean, I kind of gave mine away, but what was yours?
The bad guy speech to Tony when he pulls it out.
When he
In the
pulled what
beginning,
out?
in the beginning of that scene,
Wait, what scene?
when he pulls out the chest thing.
Oh yeah.
That's my worst scene of the movie, because in the beginning of that, he comes in and he says some shit like, your dad helped build the atomic bomb and he wasn't so selfish. And I was like, wow, that's a real line. And then he starts sitting there and he starts talking about, I raised you. And I'm like, all right, it's getting old. Someone's going to walk in here. All right. There's going to be some cameras. And then he keeps talking and he keeps talking. And then he ends it with, oh yeah, I like Pepper Potts. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Are you going to kill him or you're not going to kill him? Right. So that was my
he thought he was killing him. And his convo with the terrorist leader before that, when he was like, technology, it's always been the Achilles heel in this part of the world. I was like, what? I literally was like, damn, that's not sure that line.
Can I just say how much I love this movie, and for one reason and for one reason only? It's because of this bald head. Did you count how many bald respect in this movie?
I mean, all right, we'll talk about him later because I got some words for him, but a lot of bald guys in this.
I want you to try to remember that video, Mumburi. And this is something only bald men understand. Bald people. I don't know if they're ladies
Aren't
out there.
Bald by choice, bro?
I'm bald by choice, but this is something us all bald men understand. We hate more than anything else for anyone to touch our head and rub it. When he was leaving the terrorist camp, and he did the pressing of the button, and he said, "Don't worry, it's only going to last 15 minutes. You have bigger problems to worry about." That subtle bald-headed rub he does on the bad guy before he leaves it's like the knife in the back for a bald man, and only a bald man can see it. And I respect Marvel for picking up and doing the acting in the way it needs to. But that was something else.
Just so you guys know, Sweaty jacks off to Fast 5 scene where Vin Diesel and The Rock are bald sweating inches away from each other.
Going bald by choice is a good thing, because you get to talk about it in a better light. But there was a lot of bald respect. And then the Yenman, what's his name? Yinsen, he's also bald and he's really good. So a lot of love for the baldies. And they actually put the bald culture in the movie, right? Talk about cultural appropriation. I loved it. I appreciated it. And I'm thankful for it.
My worst final scene is the final scene. Not the final scene, but the fight between him and Obadiah.
Is it really your worst?
This is the thing. This is the problem I have. This is the problem I have with a lot of superhero movies, and it's the problem with a lot. I call this the Black Panther problem.
Ooh,
because
I want to hear this.
Because
be careful.
Black Panther is such a good movie.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's two dudes in the same suit just clawing at each other, and you can't see what's going on. They look the exact same. They're doing the same thing. There's nothing that tells you that one's gonna win, other than nothing. There's nothing.
Other than you know Tony Stark is the good guy. That's the only.
That's pretty much it.
Yes,
and they're just different colors.
Exactly.
And the thing is, with this, Iron Man 2 has the same problem where it's just more suits. It's just more Iron Mans versus an Iron Man, and this is just a bigger Iron Man. But at the end of the day, it's a CEO.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it's Jeff Bridges in a big suit. You never think, a lot of superheroes have this problem. Wonder Woman, she's fighting a bald guy.
That ending is very bad for a superhero and movie ending. Everyone hates Man of Steel's ending because it's just hitting buildings and Like, what? Why couldn't you have broken his neck a while ago, Negro?
Yeah.
Right? You destroyed the whole world first.
I think that's why Thanos was such a big deal.
Exactly.
Because it was such a good change of pace. I mean,
Yes.
even this movie and Black Panther are such great movies, but at the end of the day, the bad guy is more.
Exactly.
It's more of like you just like it's like, oh, we have to beat this guy. So
Black
we
Panther's bad guy was a lot better. Only when you're talking strictly about the fighting and the weird
Yeah.
CGI stuff, I agree 100%. But Black Panther's bad guy was as believable as Thanos'
so good
bad guy.
until that last
the
scene.
end. Yes. But I don't agree that this bad guy is so good. But before we talk about the cast,
I like him. He's
he's
cunning.
decent.
I like the peak bad guy moment for this. This is careful. This is peak scumbag. This is let me hold $10. All right, if you ever want to know who a scumbag is, when Tony shows Obadiah, he like undoes some buttons and shows him the reactor in his chest for the first time. Obadiah is sitting there with the hoagie, and he starts buttoning up real quick, and he's like, Tony, it's me and you. And he puts his arm with the cigar around Tony, and he's like, we got to stick together. If someone ever does that to you, they pieces of shit, and they're playing you from the jump.
Look at
the
your
way
numbers.
his face lights up when he saw the arc reactor. Oh,
He's like,
so good.
yes, we've made it.
And then when he flips out at the scientist and he goes, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a bunch of scraps, bro.
Honestly, it's impossible.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Great quote, great scene. That's the one time he felt like a believable bad guy, right? Tony Stark, that doesn't. I'm like, what? And then he's like, well, I'm not Tony Stark. I love it. But
So good.
I wanted to say this about the bad guy, right? In the beginning, when he just wants to kill Tony Stark, it's believable. He's basically already taken over the company, right? And then when he says, I'm going to have to kill Pepper Potts, I didn't like that line. I thought it was a little excessive.
No, but
it's
he did have
believable.
to because she knew.
But he did have to. But, Mumburi, once the fucking CIA is blowing up your door, what is the legitimate plan for this bad guy? Is he gonna stay in the robot suit until the rest of the world?
In, bro.
What?
You're dug in. It's at that point you're dug in, bro.
Okay, so what happens?
If you were planning on robbing a bank,
logistical-
if you were planning on robbing a bank, you give every plan, and then all of a sudden someone
cops
shows
are
up,
coming?
the plan goes out the window.
Of
At that
course.
point, it's you're
You
going
either
for your
what?
life. So he's gonna kill every single agent, Pepper Potts and Iron Man, and then you figure it out later. That's the plan.
Listen, the only way it works is if he decides to stay in the robot suit forever, or it can get recharged while he's in it. Because the second he steps out, the rest of the world governments are gonna shoot him down. I just think there was no follow up.
You think so?
There was no
I think in
ending.
real life, the American government would be like, yo, if you build us some suits, dude, we'll put this under the table.
That's so scary that you said that because it's so true that would happen.
Why wouldn't they? They would literally
you're
have
right.
the best army in the world
And-
for nothing. For what? These guys, for 8 guys?
For 8
Just
guys.
blame it on some terrorists, bro.
And Tony Stark has been already killing everybody. No, you're right. Holy shit.
And Obadiah
Holy
killed some
shit.
terrorists for the American government already. Don't forget, he did that shit for free.
In fact, he's owed money. He's owed money. There was a couple of things before I wanted to move on to the.
And those were some cut and dry terrorists. It wasn't like these are terrorists with some families with like, oh, we're doing this for good reasons. These were just normal piece of shit. Wake up in the morning and eat nails without
Right?
no terrorists, bro. All right, so MVP.
Obviously Tony Stark. I don't think
Yep.
it's even questionable. That doesn't
RDJ
make sense.
kills it.
Of course he does. If there's anything you want to talk about him, great. But I'm gonna call the undercover MVP Terrence Howard. And then can we just talk about the most obvious question? Terrence Howard or Chiwetel Ejiofor? Who did a better job? Who would you
What?
rather?
Chiwetel Ejiofor?
No. Who's the new roadie? I'm sorry.
Wow. It's Kung Fu Kenny. What's his name?
What's his dad? The new guy. Is it not Chiwetel Ejiofor?
No.
Are you
It's,
sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I don't like him anyways. Like that's my point.
Don Cheadle. It's Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, yes, is what
I like
meant.
Don Cheadle.
You like him better.
No, I actually think Rhodey has this. He plays Rhodey in a kind of very interesting. Seems like, I don't know. They seem like they're actual buddies.
Exactly.
There is something to that, and maybe it's because you don't get the rapport from the first one, and in Iron Man 2, he kind of just shows up and he's like, Tony, I'm here. Let's just do this.
Mabari?
Where
go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me.
Where it's kind of just tough to get that, but I really like Terrence Howard in this, and fortunately, Terrence Howard really liked Terrence Howard in this and asked for too much money, and he found out just how much Marvel likes Terrence Howard, which was not a lot. So
not enough.
But anyway, Terrence Howard got Empire. He got Lucius Lyon.
He did get Lucius Lyon, but I did have to say this: the way you described it was perfect because I see Don Cheadle. The way he plays Rhodey is so much more fatherly. I'm gonna take care of you.
Formal. It's more of a formal relationship.
Exactly. And then Terrence Howard is like, look, I'm gonna call you bullshit when I have to call you bullshit, right? And I love it. And it's like he's like, we can't be fucking around. The way he looks at that suit and he's like, next time. I'm like, game. I'm in this. They're buddies. It's not that one is better than the other. They all have their each strengths. I really enjoyed that friendship. I have him as the undercover and the greatest what if ever, because I don't know if Rhodey would have stuck around if there had been that big of a deal. And with the Empire versus Iron Man, that would have been a serious conflict in interest for Terrence Howard if he did have both moving forward. LVP.
I have Raza, the character Raza, who is played by Ferran Tahir, otherwise known as Baldy. This dude he's what I would describe as a watcher. Doesn't really do a lot.
Oh, okay.
He just watches from afar, menacingly, and it gives you the idea that this dude's a bad guy. He's always watching, and he doesn't really have a lot of talking scenes. They don't really give him a lot to do. They he's just there to get bullied by. You find out he's more of like a middleman
than the actual
bad guy, and that really cuts him down at his knees.
Before he even could get hot.
There's a scene where he's been burned. I got to give him props because I was making fun of these terrorists because they are shooting at this iron machine, and none of them think to shoot a missile at this guy. My guy Baldy actually steps up to the game and shoots a missile. You would think follow your leader. Let's get some more missiles and see, but no. But Baldy gets burns all over the side. Now I've been bald, and it's way more sensitive.
That's what
especially
I'm telling
when
you.
You've been burned all this shit. And I don't want to start sounding like Rihanna about skincare or some shit like that. Jesus. But you got to cover that shit up in the desert with sand. I mean, that's infection 101.
Infection
I'm no
101.
nurse. But that's infection 101. You got to cover that shit up. Blowing sand, you're going to be... I feel sorry for the person that cleaned it the first time because they're going to have to clean it again. And you know he's not saying thank you. So that's why I got him the LVP. He's just not given anything bad to do. Let him kill Yinsen, you know?
Yes.
Because he does the poker, oh, okay, I need you. Nah, bro. Take him out.
It does. Let him do something. Let him shine some way, somehow. I agree with you. I have him as easily the least as well. I had as nobody being the worst, the LVP, just because I didn't think he was big enough to be an LVP. But you're right. He did do enough to be a legit character. We did see him twice in multiple scenes, but he was just there. You're right. Just watching. Never said much. If I had to pick one, that's a great choice for me to pick. I think the main bad guys, Obadiah's, I think his highs were nice. And that's what saved him from me picking him as the LVP.
At the party.
In the beginning.
No, in the middle. When they're at the fundraiser and Tony's like, are we double dealing, man?
Oh.
And he's just like, let's take this picture. That's a pro move, by the way. You can't flip out at the picture. And then during the picture, he's just like, yeah, you out.
You can't afford to be this naive.
Even when I was naive before, when they said, here's the line, we don't cross it, this is how we do business. If we're double dealing under the table, are we?
Let's take a picture, come on. Picture time. Hey, who do you think locked you out?
Exactly. So
That's a Diddy move. That's how I imagine Diddy does his business. Let's take a picture.
I did just watch Notorious. But yes, I a few of his highs did save me. I wasn't bought by that scene, but I did like the scene where he was pressuring Pepper Potts. Speaking of which, can we talk about Pepper Potts, Gwyneth Paltrow? How did you like her in this movie?
Gwyneth Paltrow's. This is a weird one because this might just be me, but I only know her from legit like 2 movies. Like I know she's famous,
right?
And I know she's an actress, but I know her from Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and then this Pepper Potts. Like that's it. That's all I know her from. I've watched a lot of movies. That's all I know her from. I think this is her peak, at least the character. And
how'd you feel about the character? How did you feel about?
I
Pepper
actually
Potts?
liked the way it seemed like. I mean, obviously he's a genius, but it seemed like she was running stuff, and eventually they make her CEO.
Yes.
And I think this movie they could have probably emphasized that because here it seems like she's her assistant. He's her. He's like she's like doing dry cleaning, which is wild.
Assistant. She is the assistant.
Yeah, but I mean,
What do you mean she sees? That's her job.
But it seems like he's also she helps run the company and she's the assistant. I mean, in real life, you would just have someone else pick up your dry cleaning. It doesn't make sense to have the person this important to your company pick up dry cleaning. That makes no sense.
Okay, look.
So she's not a set.
So first of all, I don't think she technically picked it up. I think she just got it ready. But I hear what you're saying. But I do have in my notes, the reason I only push back on that little much is because I have in my notes, I love the love tension. I love the love story. I believe it. I think it's adorable. With even in the soundtrack, I know it's a little much and in your face sometimes, but every time it got lovey-dovey. The scene of them at the party where she's like, I'm nervous. People are going to think I'm fucking my way up the ladder. He's like, let's go outside. Let me go get you a drink right before they kiss. You believe it. You believe it, Burry. And there's history. There's tension. It's growing, right? After he goes to the cave, he comes back, and you could see how he sees her differently, right? When he was in the cave, he wasn't thinking about that hot reporter chick. He was thinking about Pepper Potts. And when he got back,
she was in
like,
Contagion.
oh my God, are you really still looking at what she? Oh, in Contagion, by the way, she like blows up or some shit. Like it's a really bloody death. Yeah, have you seen it?
Oh yeah, she's patient zero.
But yes, that's why I think Pepper Potts was wonderful, and there's a lot of like try hard love stories in the Marvel universe. I think the only reason that Pepper Potts makes it all the way to Endgame is because it's so believable. It's not like Thor where he's saving the girl in trouble, right? I don't want to be a dick and say Captain America, but it's like damsel in distress or this really pretty lady that's in the movie that's not that important, that is just there to be the love interest. And Pepper Potts does enough where you believe she's needed, but she's also a love interest, and you believe the history. And after
she is literally a part of the plan. She goes in to get the files and stuff.
Exactly. And I love that. I love that about her. 1, 2, or 3. Which one is your favorite Iron Man movie?
1.
Oh, okay. By far, right? It's not even close.
Far.
Yeah. All right. Good. Just wanted to make
it's
sure.
like 1 is doing that thing where Usain Bolt's like looking at the camera and smiling, or everyone by length. That's what 1's doing, and then 2 and 3 are way back there. 2 is 2 blew his ACL.
Oh yeah,
at the start.
2's done, gone. So
yeah,
forget about it.
I think I got some notes and I got the reboot. So whichever one you want.
Let's do notes because I have a few note questions for you too.
All right. So first note is, this is peak goatee. This is the whole facial hair.
Yes.
It's so good that you can't do it. If you try doing this fucking facial hair, people will call you out on it immediately. It's like belongs to Iron Man.
It belongs to Iron Man.
Can't do it.
Yeah. Talk to my boy Lawrence. We were trying to talk about this last night. I was telling him, this is not a good look. Let's just let's leave it in 2008 Iron Man. Let it be. Let it happen.
You can do it. When you're a Billy, you can do it.
When you're making a Billy, you can do whatever you want.
Speaking of which,
go ahead.
There's no way Tony Stark would be this famous in real life because he's a weapons manufacturer, and in real life, I mean, this dude would be like Dick Cheney. They try to make him like Elon Musk, but Elon Musk builds electric cars and Hyperloop and SpaceX, and that shit is the kind of stuff that gets you on the cover of magazines and good press and all this stuff. Tony Stark would have a New York Times article every week about how there's villages being bombed with fucking his new missile, Jericho, and it killed 50 people or whatever. And I mean, he would be so, I think, yeah, some people would like him and he'd be a playboy, but how many weapons manufacturer CEOs do you know are famous or anything? I mean, they try to make it like a Bill Gates, Steve Jobs type thing, but the thing with those guys is, I mean, everyone uses Apple stuff, and you can be famous if it's not something hurting. You get what I'm saying?
Maybe, but not really. Look, listen,
I mean,
first of all...
do you know one likes Dick Cheney?
No, of course I know Dick Cheney. He's a warmongering fuckboy, right?
That's
so
what
like,
Iron Man is.
I know he is. I know it is. But he's also in the world where he's also the dude who did, and I hated the scene, and I wanted to talk about it when we got the quotes. When he's talking to that reporter, and he's saying the telecrops and the ISO shit. When you start making up cool tech names that are just out of this world.
Military
really
funding, baby.
Exactly. But, so, like, in this world, you have to believe it. Because yes, he does do all of the weapons manufacturing thing, but do you know what these billionaires that do get on these huge covers always do? They are always having articles about how Apple has sweatshops in China. There was a full year where we just watched videos of Chinese people jumping through their windows into nets, and the next article would be how Steve Jobs was the greatest.
People pay a lot of money to jump on nets.
Look, stop it. My point is, it is believable that he could be that famous, right?
I just think weapons manufacturing, it doesn't lend itself to being a famous person.
It doesn't, and Mambori, but you have to also give it credit because that is the exact reason he stops doing the weapons manufacturing.
No, it's not. It's because he finds out they're double dealing and they're literally doing illegal shit.
Well, yeah.
That's
so the double dealing he doesn't like for his pocket, but he also cares. So that's why he says, "I'm not making the weapons anymore." Right? You can't say he doesn't care, and you can't say and that was his first time finding out. I'm the best because
I'm not saying about it. I'm not talking about him as a character. I'm just talking about the world in general receiving him.
I know what you're saying, and I'm saying I disagree. I don't think so. I think it is possible in a world, in that situation, because that's the main reason he stops the thing and stops making the weapons. But, moving forward, my notes. Mumbury. Iron Man...
No, I still got more notes.
Oh, hit me.
All right, so Rhodes waiting in the jet. That's me waiting for Q. Maybe once a month. The worst is when we're actually meeting up, and... you wait for Q, and then Q shows up, and this is what Tony Stark says, like, yo, now I'm waiting on you. I hate that shit. When you wait for someone, and then they show up, and then now they ones that are waiting for you, yeah.
Okay, so can I just say, if we are going to project that situation over to people, let me project some of my fields, okay? If we are going to be using my Zoom, if you put your Zoom up and you do the invite, what's the point of having your own Zoom program if you can't have this Zoom start when you want it to? Isn't that what he said about owning his own jet and leaving? Yes. So if it is my Zoom, when you decide to start setting up the Zoom meetings and getting everything all pretty, you let me know. Okay. Are you done with your notes?
2 more.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Hit me.
This little Airbnb game we played in Harry Potter, but I just want to know how much you would pay for that cave dwelling. It's got 2 beds. We know it has 2 beds. Has an industrial feel.
Yes.
A thick door, so privacy.
Yes.
Do I get access to the basement?
A lot of insulation. You are in the basement. It's a cave.
Do I get access to his basement with the suits in it?
Dude, I'm talking about the cave, bro, in Afghanistan.
Oh my god, I thought you were talking about his cave house.
No,
I was like, industrial. I guess it's industrial. What are you talking about, industrial?
I'm talking about the cave in Afghanistan.
Why am I Airbnb in Afghanistan?
Airbnb.
Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that?
How much did you pay? What should you pay?
I would not, Mabari. I'd rather camp outside with the bears. What are you talking about?
Camp outside with the bears or be behind this thick steel door with 2 beds? in a cozy
Murray,
industrial environment.
They weren't beds. They were rocks with blankets over them. Okay. Your standards for an Airbnb are just.
So would you pay
horrific.
$10?
Look,
That's an apartment in New York City. That's an apartment in New York City. Would you pay $10?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of space for New York City with a door that size.
Yeah, you get it for the weekend.
Bro,
$100?
$100.
$100?
The kind of backyard work I've been doing, I would pay $10 for that place. I would spruce that shit up like you've never
$50?
seen.
You're there for a weekend.
I'm there for a weekend. $50 is too much.
$50 a night for a weekend?
For a weekend is too much. In the middle of New
You
York.
can bring a sleeping bag, bro.
Bro, I think for $10, I feel like anything like 20, I think 30 and over, you can find a motel close enough.
All right, fair enough. And
Yes.
then the last one is that first Iron Man suit that is in the
desert.
In the desert. It literally looks like, you know, like the bootleg superheroes at Dollar Tree. That's what it looks like. It looks like someone like Tin Man or some shit like that, or
it
Aluminum
looks exactly
Man.
like that. Go ahead.
That's it for me.
But a little bit of background on that is, first of all, a lot of that first Iron Man suit was really built. If you watch the director's cut or the behind the scenes, a lot of that first Iron Man suit was really built. And a lot of the Marvel comic reader book lovers love that suit because that was the very first. That's how Iron Man originally looked. So that was like to like the people in the, like if you watch it when it first came out, people were like, oh my god. I only have
60s.
Exactly. I only really have one note, and this one is huge for me, right? They are those superheroes, right? Most superheroes get their powers, and they have legitimate powers, and then they are the superheroes on the other end, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Iron Man, Batman, who are just regular people that do crazy shit. I think Iron Man is legitimately the only one of the regular people superheroes I consider to be a superhero. And I know I just said Batman, but I really did. I've never bought that just being rich and being luckily born with having Mr. Bruce, who's his butler, having the butler, like, you believe Tony Stark is actually a genius. Fucking Batman just went to bat school and he knows karate.
Batman went to Ivy League schools and all that shit. The thing with Batman,
go ahead,
is I think the movie Batman's you have a bit of trouble because you have to do like the whole. It has to be an action movie. So like,
what do you do?
How's that different than Iron Man? Batman's supposed to be a detective. He's supposed to be like a detective.
Okay, but that's not a superhero.
That's true.
That's my point. My point is, Iron Man is so smart.
If you were in Gotham, you think it's.
I guess. And that new Batman trailer, I Am Vengeance. Tell me that shit isn't fire. Mumburi, tell me that isn't fire. I was up until the entire trailer, up until that last when he's fucking up that dude. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. This is the 19th time we reboot Batman, but when he looked
each
up,
each time is darker and grittier.
sadly it is. But when he got up after fucking
one time, he's actually gonna be black.
Hopefully, Michael B. Jordan, do your thing, baby. Michael B. Jordan. But my whole thing was Tony Stark is the only regular person superhero I actually believe is superhero, and I think his superhero powers is the genius, just the absolute genius. He knows the numbers. I love it when he tells Jarvis, "Shut up! I know the numbers. I'm going to fly." Or "Shut up! I know the numbers. Take me up to the sky and let me freeze because it's Obadiah's suit is going to freeze first because he's genius. The math is up here, bro.
What stops that is, I mean, Rhodes just gets in and becomes War Machine when he becomes a superhero too.
But the reason Rhodey can't ever be as good as Iron Man is because Iron Man can do that scene in Captain America, Civil War, where he's like, fuck it, I'm going to eyeball it. That is why he's a genius. The scene where he's creating the different kind of suits for the different movies, in Iron Man 3, where he has all those Firebot suits, right? That's when he's a genius. Rhodes can't make a different kind of Iron Man suit. Rhodes can't do that. And Batman can't either. Batman does jack shit. He knows karate and he is really rich. That doesn't count as being a superhero. Tony Stark has something. He has a superpower. He does. Anyways, that's my rant. I'm sorry.
Good?
I'm good.
How's your blood pressure?
He's my favorite Marvel superhero, Mulberry. He is, and bar none. I love this man. The remake, the recast, I'm going to let you do this. I'm going to be honest, I really just wrote nothing, and I want you to take this away, please.
So if I was going to do this, it's tough because the thing with this is I actually redid Robert Downey Jr.'s character last because that's the one where I was just like, dude, if I was an actor, I would not want to step in and fill these shoes because it's like being the number one pick after MJ retires. It's like, what are you doing?
Unless you're LeBron James.
Yeah.
LeBron James.
But I just thought the best part of this is like I kind of like the camaraderie between Rhodes, Stark, and Pepper. So I was like, let's make them younger.
Okay.
Let's get them all together. Maybe they have the Iron Man suit early, and then War Machine, and later on Pepper gets a suit. And we know they're all eventually going to get a suit. So what if there was some kind of story where, 2 or 3 of them get suits and they're fighting bad guys and they're younger? And I was like, let's get Emma Stone for Pepper Potts.
Emma Stone for Pepper Potts?
Right?
Okay.
And then let's get O'Shea Jackson for War Machine.
Oh, yes. Okay. I thought you were going to say for Tony Stark. So I was like, what is he doing?
No.
Okay.
And then for Tony Stark, this was tough. But then I literally was like, the people in their 20s, they look so young and they're all like clean shaven. And the thing with this is you really need the facial hair. But I looked at Liam Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's brother.
Oh, my God.
The younger one. He's in Hunger Games and he's in, what else is he in? He's in some other stuff. But, or Nicholas Hoult he's in Mad Max, and he's in a bunch of other stuff. Everyone I thought of before, maybe Miles Teller, I don't know, like those, it's real tough.
It's really tough. Listen, so I think there's certain things here. First of all, I like that you made the attempt and you just didn't give up when you saw the category like I did. And before we end, I do want to mention a couple of things about Favreau being in the movie, him directing the movie. Like, we got to talk just a little bit more about him because his character is such a fantastic Happy. He's such a fantastic character in every Marvel movie he is. Like, he's the director. He can give himself all the lines he wants. He can make himself out to be
Not
so
really.
much
I mean,
more.
it's an Iron Man movie.
I know, but like after you do the first one and then the second one and then you're at your point now.
He didn't direct the second one or the third one.
I know. My point is, this is his child. This is his shit, right? The Marvel shit. It's him. He's doing it with who's that old guy who died? I'm sorry.
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee. Excuse my disrespect. But I love the fact that he doesn't give himself enough credit. He's always the silly one. He's just in the role as little as possible, but he always shines. But back to the point of just the recasting. Iron Man is Iron Man, and like there are very few times Heath Ledger, you see him do the Joker, and you're like, it makes sense. That's it. You see, what's his name, Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp do Jack Sparrow. That makes sense. Iron Man and Tony Stark just makes sense. I see a reboot, I see a future one, or maybe get his daughter to do it, or have like just moving forward. I can see that.
I think Spider-Man might become, because I think in the comics Spider-Man becomes his like intern and then ends up becoming Iron Man.
I never read the comics, so I never ever want to pretend.
And I could see that because they kind of make him his dad,
yes,
father figure, and I could see him, and he's very good with technology.
Yes.
And his last suit really becomes like almost like an Iron Man because it has like the spider legs and it has like the
kill zone, kill mode, whatever. Yeah.
So I could see something like that,
but yeah,
Spider-Man's too big and too popular to turn him into Iron Man, and I don't know what's gonna happen there.
Before we leave this topic, if you had to put your life savings, is Tony Stark gonna come back to the franchise, or is he gone?
If I had to put my life savings for like an appearance, a cameo, or like he's coming back for a new movie?
Back for a movie, like legit coming back. If you had to put your life savings, yes or no?
I think no.
And I want it to be no. If they go back to Iron Man, it's going to be, you'll never believe when anything serious happens ever again, right? Because if anything...
And they just got that too, because before it was like, yo.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if he comes back, then you can't take this franchise seriously ever again. They made such a big deal out of it.
And you look what happened to Star Wars. I mean, they just bring in people back.
You don't want to do that.
You become a joke, so...
Yes. Let the legacy be the legacy.
So what do you think is his peak? I think his peak is literally like Avengers.
Iron Man's peak?
Yeah. Because
mean the
if you watch
character of Tony
Avengers, the
Stark?
first one, if you watch the first Avengers, he literally like, I think he blows everyone off the screen. I think he's by far the best part of him, and he's kind of the main character. Even though you know Captain America is the leader and is the one that like is the natural guy and the guy who's willing to make a sacrifice to you, you're just like, yo, Iron Man.
What are we doing?
It's Iron Man.
Right? Captain America is gonna like do the plan and the implementation, right? Captain America is gonna like, all right, guys, I want you to do this, you to do that. But before you leave the building, before you go meet the bad guys, it's Iron Man. What is the game plan? Like, what are we doing exactly? So
Captain America has a lot of PR, good PR,
a lot,
because he in the movies at least he's made to look way cooler than he actually is.
Oh yeah, he's not a cool dude at all.
He throws a shield around and it just batarangs around and it comes right back to him and takes out everyone. This dude is a guy who can jump high, run fast. It's LeBron James with the shield. Really.
Captain America is LeBron James with the shield.
I just think he's the most overrated one out of all of them. Thor is literally God. A god.
Yeah, he's a god, right?
And
I think Cumberbatch is the most interesting plot twist to the whole thing.
We want to talk about goatees now. Cumberbatch's facial hair.
You're not a fan?
It's not as iconic as the Tony Stark one, but it's not bad.
He carries it very well.
Yeah.
He carries it very, very, very well. I don't know if you thought about this at all. Do you have a favorite superhero?
Out of all of those
out
ones?
of the main ones. Don't say something like fucking Pepper Potts.
Actually.
Oh my god. All right. Please hit me. Do you?
It would be Iron Man.
Okay.
He's the coolest one. I mean,
he's the coolest one. And like the Civil War, Iron Man versus Captain America, did you care? Like, were you one-sided? Do you even remember what they were fighting about?
Yeah. Like the Accords or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought Captain America was right on that one.
Yeah, I disagree with you. But anyways, I just wanted to get that out the way. Any last words? Anything we missed? Anything you want to add?
No. I think it's pretty safe to say this is one of the best superhero movies of all time. It's like, and it also shows you don't have to, because Dark Knight came out the same year.
Right.
And it's actually a pretty good contrast because Dark Knight is also the biggest movie of the year, critically acclaimed, and you don't have to be super dark and super serious for you to have for you to take your movie seriously or be critically acclaimed. They both did it two different ways, and I rewatch Dark Knight a lot, but I can rewatch Iron Man just as much. It's just as good. And
yes, and on the other side, just to yell at the Disney people, I feel like moving forward they have made it a whole lot more family oriented, and I think
this movie is very adult.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. They hit that perfect thing with the chatting up the chicks and the hooking up and the Playboy lifestyle and the drinks everywhere.
I mean, he literally tells Rhodes he got caught doing a piece with Vanity Fair.
Right?
When he walks up late.
The pole stripping. So you can make it adult, right? But also make it for the family. So definitely on both sides. I feel like now they've gone too family oriented with all the Marvel. I want to see some fighting. I want to see some
Do you think
adult
that
things.
plane, what are the chances that plane was Epstein's plane?
This is Tony Stark. Don't please.
I mean, the stripper pole, just flight attendants or dancers. I'm just asking questions here.
And it's fair question.
He's definitely been on the island.
He's definitely been on the island. He's definitely been on the island. But hopefully he was one of the very few who's like, it's not for me. It's just not for me. And he stuck with the.
Imagine if you're the plus one
models.
of some of these guys. Like you meet Bill Clinton for the first time. It's like, I'm actually going to a party on an island. Do you want to come? And you're like, sure. And then you get there and it's wild. And you're like, all right, listen, Bill was my plus one, but I just need to get the fuck out of here.
I just need to go. When's the plane leaving, guy?
And then 10 years later, you're on some fucking list of people who visited the island. And you're like, look,
let me see. I left. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Iron Man is the introduction to the greatest franchise in cinema history. Iron Man is probably the best character to have started off on the greatest action note. There was enough, and like things that they, sprinkled in for you to be excited for the next Iron Man or the next superhero movie. They gave us Samuel L. Jackson. It's the beginning of something truly special. And like Mumbury said in the beginning of the podcast, this has been part of our lives. Marvel, this franchise that Iron Man started with this movie for the better half of our life. So, Millennial Classic is an understatement. Catch you on the flip. Deuces.